Oops. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Amity Gilmour and this is my life. Oh, this is fun. Has anyone like... Whee! Okay, now my head is spinning. So I know what you guys are probably thinking. I clicked onto a video with a dramatic title and as soon as I'm in the video, the girl is acting like a complete goof. Well, that is because I'm just really goofy as a person and I decided to start this video off that way because the things I'm going to be talking about are very deep and I just want to be myself in talking about them and hopefully in that way showing you guys that what happened in the past happened in the past and I don't regret it and I don't wish that it never happened because what it did for me on a positive level, like strengthening who I am, strengthening my faith in God and everything, I count to be worth it all. So yeah, I'm still my goofy self. I'm not gonna let anything from my past change that. Alright, so let's get into the video. So it all started when I was becoming quite sick and I started to notice myself go downhill a lot. I had a lot of abdominal pain and a lot of nausea and vomiting and sometimes fainting episodes at the beginning of this year and I didn't know at all what was going on. So of course we went and had to do a whole heap of tests to investigate what was going on. One of those tests we did is called a colonoscopy. So what they do is they put a camera inside you through your mouth. What they were having a look at in me was my GI tract and to see if there was any abnormality, any obstructions, any presence of Crohn's disease or colitis or any of those sort of things. Now keep in mind this is way before my diagnosis for gastroparesis. We were only just trying to figure out what was going on. It was a huge and utter mess because we had no answers. Gastroparesis is a rare condition. It's not like a condition that they would look for firsthand. So when all our options were exhausted, they thought I had IBS and moved me on. But we knew they were wrong. But that's a whole other story. If you want to know more about gastroparesis, the real thing that I actually have, I did do a video on it. You can check the link up here. But this is not about gastroparesis. This, well, it kind of is, but this is about before we knew it was gastroparesis. So I went in the morning. It was May the 4th. I remember it was May the 4th because Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars fan. I remember we got to the day surgery unit and then the guy that was looking after me came out and was making Star Wars jokes because it was May the 4th, so that was super cool. I went into the day surgery unit and my mom basically went home, I think she went home for a bit, I'm not sure. So I then went and was basically triaged sort of thing, so they just take down some information, explain the procedure, and I remember he was explaining that they were going to insert the thing that makes you fall asleep. They're going to insert it through veins. I immediately was like, this is the time when medical stuff was just scary for me. The fact that I had to do all these medical tests was a fear that I had to overcome and I've totally overcome it now. Now I can actually look when people put needles in my arm and not even faint. When he explained that, I kind of was about to faint from the thought of it. So I had to sit down and then he took me over and I rested until the procedure was done. Got the procedure done. Now what they do in this procedure is they blow up the tubes so they can see, so they put a lot of air and wind in there. Before you do the test, you have to take a prep, and that prep basically just clears you out. It's like a drink, you mix it around, drink it. Prep didn't work very well on me, and now we know why. It makes a lot of sense, but at that time we had no idea why it wasn't working as well as it should. I wasn't clearing out until just before I was supposed to go in and I had so much in there. I went in, I did the procedure, and then I got out. After I got out, I rested for a bit. They gave me some sandwiches. I was only able to eat one of those sandwiches because early satiety was a problem I was having. By sandwiches I mean like little squares of the sandwiches, like not a sandwich, just a square of a sandwich. and I wasn't able to finish it. After that, my mum came and picked me up. Me and her thought it was probably best to get something else to eat because, you know, I hadn't eaten for days properly. We got some sushi. I had a chicken teriyaki sushi. Then we went home. When I went home, all I had was like a drink of some sort. I think I had like juice or something. I don't remember. And all of a sudden, I was crippled in pain. Worst pain I've ever felt. Mum and I made the decision we would go back into the hospital, into ED, which is emergency. We went into emergency. When we were there, what happened was I was in a lot of pain. I was just rolling around in so much pain. We found out later that was because the air that was trapped couldn't get through because my stomach, my bowels are partially paralyzed, which makes sense now. On arrival to emergency, they took the information down, and after a while they decided to do a few tests. They did a CT scan, which I've had one of those before. They did also an x-ray of the abdomen. They did, you know, the usual stuff like the bloods and urine sample and whatnot. Like always, they just couldn't find anything. The nurse said, alright, we'll give you a medication. I won't say what the medication was, but let's just say it was an injection pain medication, one of the strongest pain medications in the medical field. It is a morphine-based medication, however it's like morphine times 5. It is very strong. She had basically just slightly said, alright, we'll give you this medication. Me and Mum had never heard this medication before, but we just wanted to try anything, and I was kind of out of it, so Mum was making the decision. She was like, yeah, yeah, okay. So they gave me 1 dose of that. It made me feel really funny when I had it. Like, my head just felt like there was stuff floating inside of it. I know it sounds weird, but it was so weird. It only calmed the pain down for half an hour. They then had said, alright, we'll give you some more half an hour later. So they then injected more half an hour later. Again, it only worked for half an hour, and my head felt fuzzy, like there was things floating in my head. I was in pain again. And at this point, the nurse had said to my mom, alright, well, there's nothing else we can do, so we're gonna just let her go home. And Mum at this point chucked a huge stink. She was like, no, you are not sending my daughter home like this. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with her. Like, she's in a lot of pain, can't you see this? Like, you cannot at all like send her home. She had then come to a compromise with my mum and said, okay, so we'll let her stay in the ED overnight because there's no beds on ward, then let her go in the morning. My mom was like, okay, fine. She said, alright, I'll go get your bag out of the car, because we've learned at this point on so many visits to the hospital that you always pack a bag just in case you stay overnight. Warm clothes because it's so cold, a blanket. Like, the hospital is so cold, guys. It's really cold. When my mom had mentioned she was going to get the bag, the nurse kind of rudely was like, she's not gonna need the bag, she's going home tomorrow. Just go and come back and get her tomorrow. My mum left. I then was in ED for about, I think, an hour more or so. Then they came and said, alright, we're moving you on ward. There's a bed that's been freed up in the maternity unit. A lady who just had her child went home, which I found out later was my auntie who just had that child and went home. So I took my auntie's bed. So if it wasn't for my auntie going home and me being able to have that bed, I don't know where I'd be today. I'd calmed down a little bit. The pain had subsided a little bit. So I went to bed and I tried to get some sleep. It was a horrible night, couldn't sleep. The next morning I woke up, I was really weak and wobbly. I could hardly walk, but the pain had subsided quite a bit. The doctors had come to see me and said, look, we just want you to do some walking around the hospital because all that air that's compacted up. They said in the CT scan there was a lot of fecal loading and air compacted up. That's odd that it hasn't come out yet since the procedure. Not really going into the fact that, oh, there could be an issue to why that's not coming out, because, you know, that's the whole thing with gastroparesis. But they had said, okay, well, there's a lot of air packed up in there, so if you can do some walking around the hospital with your mom and just go for a walk out of ward for a bit and get that air to kind of come out. We decided, okay, let's go for a walk. I think it was about 2 hours after that because I was a bit too weak to go for a walk. Mom was feeling hungry, so she was like, okay, we can walk to the cafeteria and get some food there. We started to walk and we walked down the stairs, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, I had the worst pain come back again. It was so painful. And so they had to get someone to grab a wheelchair, and I had to be wheelchaired back to the ward. And when I was back at the ward, this is when it started getting crazy. I was in bed and just in a lot of pain, but trying to keep it cool, trying to, you know, not overreact too much, even though it wasn't overreacting because it hurt so much. I started to feel myself slipping out of consciousness. It was this weird thing because I wasn't out of conscious yet, but I was like getting there, and it kind of felt like I was about to go to sleep without any control. And all of a sudden I was like, this weird thought just popped into my head. I'm like, I think I might be dying. I know it sounds really crazy, but that's what I thought. And it wasn't even, oh my goodness, I think I might be dying. It was like, I think I might be dying, and I'm not sure what I should do, but I'm gonna keep calm and just, and I was confused because I was like, I don't want to cause havoc, but what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't even know what's going on. So I was kind of like, Mom, should we call a nurse? Not even explaining to Mom that, like, I don't know, I felt, it was just so weird. And Mom was kind of like, okay, well, I'll call a nurse. We called a nurse and no one came. So I kind of just played it cool. I was like, okay, it's okay, everything's alright. And I was just really calm about it as well. It was this moment of calm after like heaps of stress. I was just kind of like, alright, I'm just gonna be calm and just trust God in this. It was really kind of just, I needed to be really calm because it was just crazy. All of a sudden the nurses came in, it started to get bad, and it became quite scary because I was slipping in and out of consciousness, and something, this is gonna sound really weird, but something inside of me, which I believe today was the Holy Spirit, was like, don't fall asleep. I remember I was just going to fall asleep, but then like just waking myself up, going to fall asleep, but just waking myself up, and I would constantly fight against falling asleep. I remember little bits and pieces of that, more like that whole day, but it was just, there was so many things happening. I was in and out of consciousness. I was, you know, fighting against falling asleep. It was just insane. The doctors came in. They had asked my mum specifically, what was she prescribed last night? And Mum had said, oh, this medication. They said, alright, and they looked it up on the computers and they're like, okay, I think that was overkill. And that's what they said. I had been given a little bit too much of this medication. Good morning everyone. So it is a new day, and my camera went completely flat yesterday while filming, so let's go back into the video. Okay, so where were we up to? We're getting right into the crucial parts. I feel like whenever my camera is flat, we get into the crucial parts and then bang. After a while, the nurse decided, okay, we're going to insert a drip in, and we're going to try and get whatever the toxin in the body, get it out through drip, through sweating and all that kind of stuff, because I wasn't drinking very well because gastroparesis. That was the first time I ever had a drip, which is funny because now I get a drip every 2 weeks. By the way, I have been thinking about maybe doing a vlog about my drip days when I go in and I get a drip. So if you guys are keen to see a vlog with that, then please comment down below and let me know. I mean, I think it'd be very informative to show you what someone with gastroparesis has to do to get fluid inside of them. I will say I'm a bit iffy about doing it because I don't know the thing about bringing a camera in, and I don't really like bringing cameras in and blah blah blah, and I don't know, but I'll try and see if I can make it work, so let me know if that's something you're interested in. Okay, so back to the story. It was my first drip and I hated it. I hated needles. By the way, I'm pro at needles now because I get them all the time, like I said. But this stage, this was my first drip I ever got, and I was just like freaking out, like, what? They're gonna put like liquid through like my arm and a needle like into my veins? Like, that is just creepy. Oh, if only I knew then what I know now. So I had a drip going pretty much I had a drip in me for pretty much a full day. So annoying because I wanted to have a shower at one point when I was starting to get better, like the next day, and I was like, I want to have a shower, but like the drip is annoying. Like I felt weird bringing a trolley thing in with me to the shower and everything. It was a whole new experience for me. I was a very healthy kid. I would never really end up in hospital unless it was for a dislocated knee that needed to be dislocated back into place, and that was even very few times. Hospitals were very foreign to me. This was just a whole big new experience, considering the fact that I never needed the services of a hospital very much as a kid. So once I had the drip inserted, I had sweated a lot that night, which I'm pretty sure I sweat all the toxins and whatever it was out of my system, which is great because that needed to come out of me. It took me forever to recover from that, and that's why I had to stay in the hospital longer. After, I think it was 2 days later or a day later or something, I was able to go home, which I was super excited about because I was missing my family, and the only person who was allowed to visit me was Mum because of the COVID restrictions, only one visitor per patient. So the only person I was able to see was Mum, and I love her so much, but I missed the rest of my family, and I also missed my little puppy Benji, who I love to bits because he is so cute. By the way, if you want a cuteness overload after this really in-depth and deep video, then I did do a really cute video on a day in his life. If you need something light and fluffy after this, then you can check the video up here. I remember when I was finally discharged, I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm getting out of here, this is so good. And I think it was that time when my mom actually picked me up. She had Benji in the car. I was like, oh my goodness. I remember Benji was there. I just hugged him so much. I was just like, oh, I miss my little puppy. It had only been a couple of days, but I love Benji so much that it is so easy to miss him. We got home, and then that night my mum decided to do a little bit of research, and she wanted to see more about this drug that was administered to me. When she looked up the official kind of website that is like it's a government website that talks about each medication, just the whole bejazzle information about every drug that you can get in Australia. This medication that my mom looked at, she looked at the overdose, and every single part of what happens when you're overdosed is exactly what happened to me. The spasming of the legs. I had muscle spasms literally after they gave me it. My muscles in my legs were spasming and like cramping. It was really weird. That didn't stop until after the drip had been in for quite a while. There were other things that happen when you have an overdose, and one of them was drifting into a coma, and apparently if I drifted into that coma, the odds wouldn't have been very well in my favor for coming out of that coma. Thinking about that now is kind of crazy, and I believe it is a God thing because I had no idea what was going on. We didn't even know that it was an overdose at the time. We just thought, what is going on? Like, this is crazy. It was the weirdest thing. I remember also one minute I'd see like nurses all over the room, and then the next I'd see like nobody in the room, and then the next I'd see like doctors in the room, and like I was completely hallucinating. It was a very scary moment in my life. I remember after that week of being home, after being in hospital, I was so weak. It took me ages to actually catch up. I was like at home in bed for pretty much a whole week after that. But when I first got out of the house and was able to go for a walk down the road, I remember it was a beautiful sunny day, the birds were singing, and this sounds really cliche, but this is literally, I was walking and I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm still here. And it was just this hit, like it was this big hit to me, like hit in the face sort of. So I'm walking, I'm just like, this is such a beautiful day and I'm still here to experience it. I'm still here to experience another day and another however many days. And it was just this big realization that, oh my goodness, I could have lost my life that day. I remember I was just walking down the street, I was like, I'm alive, like this is a big deal. I just remember feeling so overwhelmed with joy and happiness and just being like, thank you God, because I really should not be here today. Up to today, looking back on all of it, I wouldn't change anything about it for the world, because I think it really has shaped me to be who I am today, and it really has shown me that life is, and this is so cliche, but it's so true, life is so precious. You can be here one day and be gone the next. You won't even know when your time has come. I really think that God has kept me here for a reason. I don't know what that reason is. I don't know how God has worked, but I'm super excited to see how God uses this story and how He uses what I've been through to do what He wants me to do, because I seriously should not be here, and I believe that I'm here for a reason, because if it wasn't for that Holy Spirit intuition inside of me telling me to not fall asleep, I don't know where I would be today. I want to end this on one of my favorite Bible verses. I just got this verse over and over again, and it's John 16:33, and it says, "For I have told you these things so that you may have peace in me. In this life you'll have many trials and sorrows, but take heart, because I have overcome the world." And I love that verse so much. It has really become my anthem for life, really, because I have been through hard things in the past, but nothing like this year, of course. Anyway, that is my video for this week. I am super excited to be able to go into the new year with you guys. I'm super thankful for just all the love that you guys have shown me this year on this channel, because this is a brand new channel. I'm actually really content with all the lovely messages you guys have been giving me in the comments, and just all the lovely support you guys have shown, because this was literally something I decided to dedicate some time to and start this channel. It really gives me something to do when I'm at home, not able to work and not able to go out and do the things I used to do. I now have a goal that I can work towards, which is this channel, and I can also use this channel as a platform to, number one, bring awareness to gastroparesis, and number two, bring joy, and just number three, or more like number one out of all of them, to tell you guys how much Jesus loves you, and to use it as a platform to share with you my faith and what I believe, because that is really the number one thing in my whole entire life. Anyway, that's enough for me. I have rambled on so much this video, but I love you guys so much, and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and God bless.